Meine Damen und Herren, ladies and gentlemen, Kyrios και κύριοι, mesdames, messieurs, sedeti wa sedeti, signore, signore, this is my last duty, and it's a very pleasant duty today, and it is to ask Matteo Renzi, the former Prime Minister of Italy, to join me here on the stage. I say the former Prime Minister, and there are lots of former presidents, prime ministers, etc., and the former mayor of the wonderful city of Florence. But actually, not just former, but why not future? Matteo Renzi is a very, very talented man, a superb politician, and I think, frankly, Matteo, that Italy, and this is a personal opinion, needs someone like you. So I hope that this little Philip from The Economist is going to boost your career. It may not, of course, but come, let's go and sit down over here.
Thank you.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, the idea is that we're going to chat for about 20, 30 minutes, and then you can sit down and have a lovely meal. We'll chat, and I'll ask provocative
also
questions.
because I'm Italian politician, so first of all, the first problem is the food.
Exactly.
Then the discussion, the
It may not be
politics.
pasta, who knows?
Yeah, first point, food.
And there will be questions from you guys, so be as rude or as complimentary as you like, because politicians always develop very thick skins so they can take it. Matteo, please say a few words about what you think about, the blue economy, life in general.
But I think blue economy could be a great asset for the Europe of tomorrow. And we know, as Italians people, how many is important the role of blue economy, and how is important political attention in this sector, because in the past, unfortunately, also the Italian government made some decision very, very bad for this sector. I believe in a world deeply in trouble, with a lot of change. Blue economy, the investment in sustainability, the investment in innovation should be one of the most interesting assets for the new Europe, because the problem is that, very briefly. Europe is one of the most important and great experiences around the world. We are so proud to be Europeans, and we are so proud to participate to this great challenge of transformation of European institutions. But if we continue to speak about Europe only regarding to the past, Europe is died. I think that is a great problem. So we need a new Europe, a vision for the hopes of the future, for the ideas of the future. And for that, blue economy, ICT, Internet of Things, revolution, industrial revolution should really change the perception of Europe around the world.
So are we going backwards in Europe? I mean, we get to January the 31st, and to my horror and shame, Britain will have formally left the European Union. At the same time, you have populism in a lot of Europe, including Italy. What explains all this, and what can we do about it?
Okay, in Italy, we change the government every year, so we are...
How many is it now since the war?
No, yeah, it's correct, because we changed in 73 years, we changed 66 government. And you smile, but it's not very, very brilliant for us. I served for less than 3 years, and in the ranking, I'm the number 4 in terms of longevity. Number 4. And the first is Mussolini, so it's not great.
And the second is Berlusconi.
Second is Berlusconi, yeah. Third Craxi, and I'm 4. And we are the land of fashion. So we change the government more or less as the fashion brand that change the season every year. And I lost my job for that, because I tried to change constitution to give stability, political stability for 5 years. Unfortunately, I lost the job, but our idea was exactly that.
Well, you shouldn't have made it a vote of confidence. It's your fault. You had a great idea, and you screwed up.
The real problem is 2016 wasn't a good year to make a referendum.
No.
I made a referendum and I
It
lost.
certainly wasn't a good year for us.
And we founded the club against the referendum in 2016. The president was David Cameron. I'm the vice president because it's exactly the same year. But I think, okay, of course, populism is present around the world in every corner of region, but I'm not worried for that. Because I think populism is, okay, we are here in the most important exhibition about sea, about blue economy, and so populism is a surf. It's very beautiful to see the surf, but if you love the surf, you know you have to come back. Politics is the capacity to become navigator, not a surfer. We have a direction, a vision, a destination, and we go. What is populism today? Populism is the most important danger for Europe if Europe continue to stay only on the day-by-day of bureaucracy. If Europe will be able to invest in a new ideal, I believe populism will be destroyed. Of course, there are unfortunately consequences of this populism because you think about UK, for me is a tragedy left EU by British people. And they decided for 4 points, 52 against 48, with an unbelievable campaign of fake news. But today, this is the decision, this is democracy. And my view, I'm really frank with you and with our friends, I think in the next months, Prime Minister Boris Johnson will try everything to give the message, please, came to UK because UK became a great place, continue to be and will be more, a great place for investment. You give the message, we will become a Singapore, a great Singapore. He'll try to invent some ideas to attract a lot of opportunities. I believe Europe have to wake up. And particularly because, first, Germany have to change the business model in the next years. Germany is the most important country for our continent. The economy in Italy depends a lot of Germany's relation. Thinking about Northeast, Veneto, Emilia-Romagna, Lombardia are totally connected with Germany. But with the difficulties in China in the next months, will be impossible to continue only with a business model focused on the export. Yeah. So we love Germany. We consider Germany the capital of the European economy, but we need more energy in the economy of Germany, also for us. I'm worried for what could happen in France, 2022, with the new election and for President Macron. And so we need a wake up of Europe and maybe don't discuss only about Article 50, red tape, bureaucracy, day-by-day strategy, but finally a vision, an horizon.
But every non-German economist and politician has been saying exactly that about Germany for at least 5 years, maybe more, saying that Germany cannot keep having this mercantilist approach where it just exports, has a big trade surplus. Yeah. It should be investing more in Germany and helping out the rest of the European Union, for example, Italy, Greece, Portugal, Spain, by consuming more. It hasn't happened. Why haven't you persuaded the Germans? Your friend Wolfgang Schäuble, for example. I say that provocatively.
Yeah. No, I served in the period of great leadership of Angela Merkel because I served from 2014 3 years. So I know how was important for Europe this leadership of Angela Merkel. And we have to admit the decision to enlarge Europe 10 years ago, 20 years ago, maybe a process of a large, very, maybe too quick in some cases, gave to centrality and key role to Germany. So Germany is the most important country. But if we don't decide a change of paradigm in economy, from austerity to flexibility, a change of paradigm in terms of investment in infrastructures, also in Germany, we risk to reduce the level of competitiveness of Europe. And at the same time, will be very important, DG Comp. Who is DG Comp? DG Comp is the commission, for the part of commission who follow the competition questions in Brussels, have to change his approach. Because in the past, in the last 10 years, they blocked some M&A between some of the most important companies in Europe. Just one example here in Germany, very important. Siemens and Alstom. Yeah. DG Comp blocked that because that, in theory, was against the rights of consumers. But this is a stupid message, because this was true in 50s, 60s, 70s. Now we stay in a global competition. Please wake up, European friends. We have Chinese guys, 1.3 billion of people. Indian guys, 1 billion of people. A lot of new economies in the Southeast of Asia. Africa will be the double in the next 25 years. Only Europe remains 500 million of people. Or we will be able to create new great champions, also with M&A between French and Germany's companies, or Italian and Spanish, or we will be out of the global competition. And this is clear in the strategy of President Trump, not interested to Europe, and very interested to new relation between USA and China, as we saw also in the last days for the first trade deal first, because we will, it's important, because it's important for election for Trump, and 20s will be the decade of great competition between USA and China. My dream is we have to give a role to Europe. It's impossible to stay to watch the match between USA and China, and we as Europeans to become spectators. This is a stupid thing.
But yes, I mean, the China-US tension, Italy has sided, in a sense, with China by embracing the Belt and Road Initiative. Greece has done the same, but a lot of criticism, especially from the United States, that, oh, you're falling into this Chinese camp, and clearly the Trump administration basically wants the Western world, and not just the Western world, but lots of other parts of the world, to make a choice. Do you follow an American model, or do you follow a Chinese model?
My view is very clear. I belong to European community, and so for that I think our partnership is strategic with the United States of America. And also the point of signature from the previous government, populist government, was a problem in the relation between Italy and the USA, but fortunately was solved in the dialogue with President Trump and our diplomacy. But the point is that, please, look at global framework. Why we will have some tension between USA and China? Of course, we hope will be crucial, the dialogue, the discussion, the meet, everything. We continue to be optimistic. But what is the point? The point, in my view, is that We live in an unbelievable period of transformation, particularly in digital revolution. And in artificial intelligence, quantum computing, ICT, artificial intelligence, China have a goal to be the first power around the world. Of course, USA have the same goal. And particularly in artificial intelligence, the competition is very interesting. I believe very important for Europe to decide what type of role play in that sector. Because we cannot stay only at the window to look the other guys play.
But who makes the decision when you say Europe needs to decide? I mean, it seems to me the point is that we live in democracies, and you guys, the politicians, you want to get elected, which means that you have a time horizon of 4 or 5 years, or perhaps in the case of the Italian government, even fewer years. Whereas China is thinking in terms of at least 10 years each time. And with Xi Jinping now as president for life, I mean, we're talking about 2-3 decades. Makes a difference.
Absolutely. And if you remember an interview of President Putin about the end of liberal democracy, just 1 year ago, more or less, you know the problem of the relation between democracy and, it's very strange to use this expression, illiberal democracy, because democracy is liberal or is not.
Yeah.
And I think that point is a great point. But I have a question for you. What do you think about the future of your children or grandchildren? My view is I prefer democracy, but I know democracy leaves a very great problem. Why? Francis Fukuyama, who is a professor of Stanford University, used this expression, vetocracy, everyone blocked the other. But you can see, not only in Italy we are the model of instability, but if you think about Spain, 4 elections in the last 4 years. So we have a problem of instability. China, not. I met Xi Jinping a few times. I remember a discussion with him in Cagliari, in the beautiful Sardinia, and I asked him, Mr. President, when you will arrive to democracy? After 2 or 3 bottles of Cannonau, which is a very good wine in Sardinia in the midnight. And he told me, I don't know if we will arrive to democracy before you will leave democracy. It's a great point. My view is that we have to protect democracy. We have to protect our values, our sentiment, the reason of democracy, but at the same time, we have to guarantee stability, and that is the role of Europe. For example, in 5G, Europe lost some opportunities, but how many brilliant engineers lost the opportunity to stay in Europe to create here a new Silicon Valley of the future, in the robotics? Okay, I'm a politician, and it's not easy for a politician to discuss about artificial intelligence, because usually politicians discuss about natural stupidity, not artificial intelligence. Usually we discussed about populism is natural stupidity. But jokes apart, I think if finally we try to don't think only about the present, politicians think about the present, the continuous present. And if we try to imagine the future, please consider how big is the possibility for this continent. Those guys are entrepreneurs, are managers, are people who try to imagine the future. Because in your sector, if you don't imagine the future, we are out. So you try to create a new vision for the future. What is the point in politics? China is able to have a vision because with the President Xi Jinping, they decided one belt, one road. They had a vision for 25 years. I remember a great debate between Kissinger and the foreign minister of China in 70s. What do you think, Kissinger asked, about the French Revolution? And the reaction is too early to discuss. Too early to discuss.
I think.
Yeah. And I believe we have this country, China, with a lot of time and a vision. Europe have to come back to vision, and I have an example for that. Africa. In Africa, today, the most important country in terms of investment is China. Why? Because Europe slept.
Yeah.
And we have the populists every day in the newspaper. Oh, we have a lot of migrants. Please, if we don't invest in Africa and we don't block the migration with a strategy, with a Marshall Plan of investment in Africa, of course, the invasion will arrive in the next 20 years. Because if today there are 1 billion of African guys, and in the next 25 years, 30 years, will double. A lot of young people, we became old. They are very young.
Yeah.
They have the mobile. They look what is the life in Düsseldorf, in Florence, in Berlin, in Barcelona, in Paris. They decide to came here. It's normal.
Yeah.
So this is an example. My suggestion is, okay, yeah, we have a problem of democracy because China and Russia and a lot of countries in the Middle East are more able to refuse democracy. But come back to capacity to dream, to imagine the future. Because without that, we lost a lot of opportunities.
That's a very, very good point. Before I open it up to the audience, just a quick question. You talked about vision. The Chinese have a vision and so on. One could argue that Donald J. Trump has a vision, make America great again, which struck me as being pretty stupid because America was already great. But nonetheless, how should Europe deal with the United States of Donald Trump? I'm thinking in terms of Huawei, for example, you talked about 5G, or in terms of NATO, and so on.
I speak very frankly.
Sure.
I'm sorry for that. I'm not a master of diplomacy, as my Italian friends know. When I was Prime Minister, the relation with the USA and the White House was my star, my polar star. Because for me, the relation with President Obama, with the White House, and with the United States of America were crucial. Okay? I strongly believe, for EU, the relation with USA have to be confirmed independently from the name of President of USA on the President of EU Commission, because it's strategic. At the same time, I'm not able to understand how it's possible for the President of USA decide with a tweet to leave Syria or Iraqi Kurdistan in the hands of Turkey's army. Let me be very clear with you. The girls, the women who saved our community were the Kurdistan girls, women, mothers, who fought against ISIS, against Daesh, in the ground. And the Western community left alone those girls, those women, when USA, with the tweet of President Trump, permitted to Turkey's army to enter in the Kurdistan and in some cases kill those girls. So I believe we have a great relation with the United States for everything, but it's impossible for United States don't understand how it's important for Europe to defend our values. And when President Macron used a very strong expression, NATO is a brand that.
Yeah.
This is a revolution for European story. So I believe.
Do you think, this was Macron's interview with The Economist, do you think NATO is brain dead?
Yeah, I totally agree with Macron. Because it's impossible for NATO to accept to kill the girls who saved our values in Kurdistan. And the same is for Libya today. There is also responsibility of Italy about blue economy, sea, and what could happen in our beautiful Mediterranean. It's impossible to permit to Erdogan to decide what is right, what is wrong in Libya. Yeah. This is a risk for everyone. So we have a lot of tensions. We have a lot of problems, but at the same time, I believe America and the EU could play a good role. Thinking about circular economy, sustainability, new investment, we have a lot of opportunities, but we have also to remember how it's important to defend the values. Without values, there is not future.
Let me ask for questions from the audience. Please just raise your hand and we'll get a microphone over to you. Please don't be shy, because as you can tell, Mr. Renzi is not only a very smart guy, but a very direct speaker. There we are.
Good evening, everybody. Mr. Premier, Mr. Renzi, I have a question for you. Do you think that populism was supported by the non-conventional neoliberalism, by the economy of this trend, which is not supporting the medium class and low class? Thank you.
Yeah. But we cannot give to economy the responsibility of populism. This is my view. Of course, if we don't invest in the middle class salary, it's normal, the reaction of the middle class, or maybe the former middle class, because the gap between high and low salaries, unfortunately, increased too much in the last period. But at the same time, let me be very, very clear. The reason of increase of populism are a lot and different. If you use Twitter and you can write on Twitter to the President of the United States, you are a stupid guy, you consider yourself at the same level of the President of the United States. It's not true. Remove the idea of establishment or leadership is good on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. But it's impossible for an organization. Okay, please, about your company. If everyone could decide for the strategy of company, in place to CEO, in place to the manager, in place to director, company dies. It's correct. In the politics, populism give this message. Please, it's not important to follow the decision of leader. Everyone could be leader. Populism think everyone is equal. Okay, we are equal in front of law, equal in front of responsibility. But if you are the leader, you have to decide. Thinking about your children. There is the school, the bus for the school. Do you prefer a driver able to drive or a driver very funny, brilliant, and with a lot stories for your guys? I prefer a good driver for my children.
Yeah.
Populists prefer, it's the same. If you drive or the guy, it's the same thing. So it's correct to discuss about inequalities, salaries, middle class. But in my view, populism grew up for a social reason, a radical transformation of population. Everyone considers himself able to give every type of suggestion. When in Italy, I follow a discussion about vaccination. And some of those guys in Twitter, I know there is not, we didn't need the vaccination because I read a post of my friend who said it's not important. And that opinion was the same opinion in terms of value for his guy of the professor of university. You destroy the credibility of leadership, and we affirm a cultural populism. Yeah. In my view, it's okay, fight against populism, but we have to come back to idea leadership is important. And that is, today, it's not very sexy. Because if you use this expression, we need a leadership, you have a lot of people who have this reaction. Ah, you are elite. You are out of that. You are radical chic.
Yeah.
I think I'm normal, not radical
Yes,
chic.
famously, Michael Gove, who was one of the leaders of the Brexit campaign, when all the economists said it will be a very bad mistake to go for Brexit, he said, oh, we've had enough of experts. And people cheered him for that. Ridiculous. More questions. Yes, gentleman here. If I was, Giorgio, yeah.
I wouldn't have the chance to ask you a question, Mr. Renzi. I was a member of the previous government in Greece, and I would like to know exactly what happened. How did you help my country with Alexis Tsipras? Did you help only Greece or the whole Europe at that time? Thank you.
In the night of July 2015, some of our colleagues of European Council tried to put out Greece of Europe, from Europe. And I think that, in my view, was a wrong decision for Europe,
When
not
you
only
say
for Greece.
Some of your colleagues, you can name names. We are in a friendly country. Still friendly, I think.
I have a good relation with the Prime Minister of Netherlands, but my friend Mark was the strongest
Really?
against Greece in that night. And in the middle of the night, with a very good song, but in the middle of the night is also an expression of a terrible night, because it was a night, we closed the agreement at 6:30 a.m. And I was exactly near to Alexis, so I worked with him because when you arrive to crucial decision, it depends also from the psychology, from the capacity to maintain the lucidity, the vision. And in the middle of the night, also Angela lost passions, and she had a very strong approach to defend Greece. Also, François Hollande defended Greece. Usually, the president of France was very diplomatic, and so in this case, he tried. And I remember a discussion during the night because the Prime Minister of Luxembourg, who is a good guy, Xavier Bettel, is continued to be Prime Minister, posed the problem to create a fund in Luxembourg for 50 billion of Greek ownership with the in the supervision of Europe, from European guys in Luxembourg. Unacceptable. So you cannot kill a country. And I remember the discussion because my proposal was, okay, we have to come back to call back also the victory of European Cup of Greece team football club if you continue with this direction. But jokes apart, I think Greece have a debt, of course, as all the countries, but Europe have a debt in the direction of Greece, a cultural debt, a philosophical debt. Please not consider European Union only a money question. Of course, Greek guys have to respect the rules, the laws, and pay every type of debt, of course. But Europe is more than simply a money's union. We have more than our money. We have more than our asset. We have a community of inspiration and sentiment and spiritual values, I think. And this is true for Germany, this is true for France, this is true for Italy, for everyone. After Bataclan in 2015, you remember Bataclan was a terrible event in November 2015. More than 100 guys were killed from a terrorist, Islamic terrorism. And a lot of colleagues use this expression, we live in the Third World War. My view was that, okay, we have to invest in security, in arms, in protection, in the police, but we have also to protect our culture. And the same budget we will invest, this was our decision and our statement, in security, cybersecurity, police, army. We have to invest in culture, museum, schools, theater, because the risk is, don't understand, the terrorists came from our cities, not from Syria. The terrorists of Bataclan came from Brussels, Molenbeek.
Yeah.
The terrorists of Charlie Hebdo, Paris 2015, came from Saint-Denis. The Jihadi John, the guy who killed in the Daesh war, was a guy who studied in London, in UK. So we have to protect our communities. That is true for everything. And that, my personal suggestion, sorry if I permit that, is true also for your business. Because let me be very clear with every one of you. You open your business not only for money. Because if you think about your money, finance, maybe, is better than the traditional business. You have more money, and you have a problem. Why? You open a business, you continue a business, you invest in a business, you try to continue to enlarge your business. Because you have the value of social responsibility, creation jobs, invent a new strategy for your guys, for your children, for your future. So, we are not the robot. And EU is not a community of robots. For that reason, I defended Greece. But for that reason, defending Greece, I think we defend Europe.
Excellent. One final question. Absolutely. A question here at the front, please. Kostas. Yeah.
Good evening, Mr. Prime Minister. Thank you very much for your insightful comments. I will ask the same question I asked John in the morning. I'm a college professor, and during the crisis in Greece, a lot of students were coming to me and saying, well, what's the reason to stay in Greece? And actually, 400,000 people left Greece and migrated to Europe and so on. You, among a handful of other leaders, European leaders, you are shaping up the future of this continent. So I will ask the same question to you. Coming from a young, I'm not young, but coming from a young person, from my students, why somebody should stay in Europe now? Thank you.
I believe Europe will have a lot of problems in the next decades because Now we are 7% of population, 25% of GDP, and 49% of welfare society around the world. That means it's not acceptable that 7% of population, 25% of GDP, 49% of welfare. So Europe have to change. Europe was the center of the world. In our map, we have USA, Europe, Asia. But historically, Asia and China had more role than today. And they won't come back to play a crucial role. Obama, not Trump, spoke for the first time about Asiatic century. Yeah. So Europe have a lot of problems, but I think our values will be decisive in the future. This is a time of algorithm, but the philosophy will be crucial for algorithm. If you don't believe, please consider that. Driverless car, okay? You know, in the next 10 years, driverless car will be present everywhere. And that will be good for the accident. That will be good for the quality of life. But what is the way for the algorithm and for the people who decide the artificial intelligence and the system of driverless car, if you have two people in front of a car who arrive in the same moment? A man with a bike and another man with a bike. But the first man with the bike have the helmet. The second man is without helmet. The people who decide the algorithm for the driverless cars have to decide if the accident is sure, or with the first guy or with the second guy. Who is the man to kill from the driverless car? It's a decision. It's a philosophical decision. If you decide it's correct to invest the man in the bike with the helmet, you have the philosophy to say, this guy have more probabilities to save himself because of the helmet, and so maybe will be safe. But if you think about the correct respect of law, you have to kill the other because it's without helmet and it didn't respect the law. I see your faces, but we have to eat. We are in the great gala of events. We cannot discuss about it. My point is, philosophy will be crucial in the time of artificial intelligence and algorithm. And for that, Europe will play a crucial role. We continue to say we will have a lot of time in the future. For what? To stay in the sea with a lot of friends, of course. We visit museum. We enjoy our lifestyle. For that reason, Europe will be crucial. The sentiment for sustainability is very good for company. But if we really will create an economy, circular economy, we need intelligence able to write a new page. All those points show Europe could have a role in the future. And this is answer for your young students. And this is answer for my children. The real problem is politics is in difficulties today. Because politics usually follow only technocracies and day by day and the red tape of bureaucracy. We need an Europe able to come back to dream, able to come back to invest in the future, able to have a soul, and not only a list of rules to respect. This is the reason of my optimism, but it's not easy.
Mr. Presidente, mille grazie.
Grazie.
I think that is a wonderful note to finish on. Thank you so much. Really fascinating, and I think very stimulating, and actually also very thought-provoking. Thank you very much. Mille grazie. And I think Werner, the president of the International Boat Show, would like to come and just wish us bon appetit. Here he comes. And I'm not sure what bon appetit is in German, but che approveche in Italian. So
In Italian, buon appetito,
buon
but
appetito,
we eat in every language.
Excellent.
We are
Really,
able
exactly.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I'm really honored to thank you very much that you are here and that you gave us the chance to hear your thinking about the industry and especially politics and whatever you're saying about the ocean, and really very, very great thanks from us. And I have to congratulate the Economist, and I have to find out the names because that's always very, very difficult to remember the names, but all the three people from the Economics, and especially the lady which I like very, very much, and I met her in the morning, first time, Mr. and my colleague, Mr. He met her very, very early, and he made all the agreements to her. And when we started with it, and I couldn't believe that the Economics made this Congress here. And when we found out that we, let's say, started with it, it was very easy. And we all thought it is like a running procedure, and nobody could do anything against it. But then we found out a few days and let's say a few weeks ago, that it was really very, very hard to get participants. But at the end, and 2 weeks ago, 60 it was, and now we're at 220. And that was exactly what we expected. And what you have done, and especially, I would say, what the Economists have done was, for us, incredible. Thank you very, very much. And I would like to thank you very, very much. I don't want to give the idea, or let's say the congratulation to, let's say, to all of the participants first, but at the end to Nectaria, please. I would like to have here on the stage. Second one is to Clarine and to Sarah. And all these three ladies, they have done really the greatest job I have seen in the last 3 weeks, I would say. And when I met her in the morning, and she was very, very nervous, but she was so, let's say, generous and so really beautiful and nice. Thank you very, very much that you have done this great job. Therefore, thank you very much from Messe Düsseldorf and from my colleague. And then Clarine. We met first in the morning, and you were very, very optimistic, and you said, we arranged it. And you have done also a great, great job. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Sarah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you to you. That's the next one. Thank you. So, yes, of course. No. We have to put the ladies in the middle. and the President on the right side. Thank you very much. But at the end, I have to say, it was really very, very nice to do it with you, to have the experience, and in front and before the boat show, the largest boat show in the world, we were very, very proud that you had the, let's say, the meaning and the, let's say, the idea to do it, and to do it here with us together. And whatever we reached and whatever we have done, hopefully we can do it again next year or in 2 years. But we have to do it, and we have to follow up, and we have to continue with it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.